Hi there, this is Marty and Naya, and this week I am filling in as your host of Footprints of Pacifica for the dearly departed and our wonderful friend, Mr. Frank Winston. So it's my honor to be here as host today and representing the Pacifica Historical Society for our wonderful show, Footprints of Pacifica, the show that discovers and explores the lure and lore of lovely Pacifica, its character and its characters. Today's subject is a subject that many of us probably take for granted, but that is vital to our very existence. It's the subject of water. And I have some wonderful in-studio guests that we're going to talk to about the history of water in Pacifica and how water is delivered here in Pacifica. But I thought that before we did that, we'd run out to a little videotape that was done by our own John Elliott circa 1990 that explores a little bit about the history of the Pacifica, the water district here in the North County. So we'll take it away with the video and we'll be right back.
Her name is Lena Pendola. Now, Lena, why don't you tell us how you came about moving to Pacifica in 1925? That must be way out in the wilderness.
It was. There was 5 houses only in Valley that time, in 1925. No water, no electricity, no phones, no nothing. And we raised flowers all through there because there was no houses. And we raised all violets and sweet peas and marigolds, all those kind of flowers. And we had to have water too to grow those flowers there. So then my husband had a fella come and look to find water someplace in Malamont. And the man was going around with a stick, you know, that stick that goes around and it turns, and I wouldn't believe it. I said, I can't believe it that thing would turn. And by gosh, the man says, hey, you want to try it? So I did. And that thing would want to turn you, couldn't hold it down. Did you ever try to see that?
I've seen it, I never.
Oh, I tell you, pull on you, you know, and it showed there that there was water, you know, but I still don't believe it. So my husband had the fella come and they went up the Y, you know, on one Y, you go right and left. Well, on the left side going up, about half a block up on left, they had a pump there. Was you there living in Pacifica then? No.
I remember when the pump was in the creek bed,
Yeah,
like Piltz's
right.
house. Didn't Mr. Piltz take care of that pump?
No, we used to take care of it.
Oh, you did?
Maybe after, I don't know, but, you know, so we took care of the pump there.
It was right in the creek bed.
Yeah, right in the
Yeah.
creek, right in the creek, about a half a block up from the Y there,
Right.
in the creek. And, well, there was some people coming in and buying lots, you know, and then starting to build a house, and, well, they had no water. So, little by little, they put a tank up, way up at the end of the valley, where the new pot is, you know, on up there, way up the end.
They had for the tank. How was the tank built? Who paid for it?
Rich, you know, the old man Rich, he paid most of it, because the property was all his, you know.
Claude Ridge.
Claude, yeah, but his father.
Oh, George before
Yeah.
that.
I understand that you organized a district right there in Belmont one time, and your daughter was the meter reader.
Yeah.
Could you tell us something about that?
Well, they wanted me to do it, and I said, I can't do that. I said, I got too much work to do, you know. And so they said, well, we just want somebody to read the meters. So my daughters, I had 2, and the oldest one, she could drive, Model T Ford we had, you know. And Lorraine, Nick's wife, she used to stand on the side and have the big, you know, the thing they lift up the meter, the hook, yeah. And she would drive and you know how the kids are. They were the oldest one, she would drive and she would kind of jerk it. She wanted to see if she was, Lorraine was standing on the side of the thing, you know, and jump off and read the meters and run it back on. And she used to read the meters and then tell the other one inside, and she'd write it down, you know. And, but it was fun, and you know, now it's so different, you know. Those days there was nobody around, and you know, it was really nice.
At that time, did you have a regular water district office right in Valimar, or did you pay Rich, or who was
No,
the one that you bought water from?
Yeah, well,
an individual?
Yeah, Rich's daughter, wasn't that Dora?
Dora
Yes.
Geiser.
Yeah, Dora Geiser. She used to do most of the work there. You know.
I have some facts right here on that, from the original minutes, in the very first board meeting, it says, in Valimar, the area is being served by the facilities of the Valimar County Water District. This district is governed by a board of directors consisting of A.D. Brunette, Harry Bateman, F. Loney, A.G. Marlette, and Mrs. Lena Pendola. And
I had too much to do, I couldn't go to
there's no auditor nor any manager or superintendent. Angelo Pendola is employed as the maintenance man and receives a compensation of $20 per month.
How was the day? I don't think he even received any.
This is pre-1944. It also says that the services are metered and the system is well operated.
It was, I mean, it was.
Okay, now our thanks to John Elliott, who shot that video. Now that was made circa 1990, and I was just going around the table here, and we were able to identify May G as the questioner, and board members Russ Conroy and Lena Pendola there, a former board member of the North Coast County Water District. And again, if you're just joining us, our topic today is water. Where does it come from, and what's the story behind our own water district here that serves Pacifica and serves the North Coast? Now, directly to my left, to help me to discover some of the answers to these questions, I have Mr. Armin Chavasco, who worked with the Water District from 1962 to 1998. Armin, thank you very much for being here. And directly to his left, we have Alice Filios, who also worked with the Water District from 1950 to 1984. And last but not least, I have Mr. Mason Brown, who has been a water board member on and off since about, what, 1991?
1990.
Okay.
1990
All right.
elected.
All right, you joked it was 1890, but I know I got 19 here. All right, folks, again, to start us off, you know, we showed that little video, and any thoughts that come up as, I don't know how much of that you were able to hear, you know, some of the old footage is not the best archived, but what about the history of our North Coast County Water District? Is that kind of help illuminate things there?
I just started in 1962, and she would know him a little bit more than I.
You want me to talk about the district?
Yeah, you know, how did the district start off? Because obviously it started, what year?
1944 it was formed.
So long before Pacifica was ever a city.
Pat Denayo lived on Brighton Road, and she had the office in her house. And she had one lady helping her, Mildred Anderson, no, Armstrong. And then Rusty Hill was the worker, and Jim Fenton was the superintendent. And they worked out of her office. Then later, there's a little cottage that was up south of the Seaview Theater that used to be a farm years and years ago, an artichoke farm. And the workers lived in this little cottage. Well, when San Mateo Investment bought the property to build their homes, of course, then that was the end of the ranch. But when the San Mateo Investment Company went in there, they used the cottage as their office. And then later on, they moved across the street to where Mazzetti's Bakery is now.
Now, Alice, I understand you actually grew up here in Pacifica.
Yes.
So you've been able to not only just as it relates to water, but you've seen a lot of changes. Tell us about what it was like growing up here.
Well, let's see. My folks moved down here in 1920, and my dad had an artichoke farm in what is now known as Fairway Park. And my brother and I went to school, what is the City Hall. And those days, you know, you'd walk to school and maybe past 3 or 4 houses, you knew everybody in town. And then when we got to high school, we were bused to Jefferson High School.
Now, you were telling us that back in the days on that artichoke farm, they used a typewriter for billing back in the, what was it, 1950?
Well, not the artichoke farm, in the water district.
In the water district.
Yeah.
And then there were 3 field workers, is that correct?
2 to start out.
2 to start out, okay. How did you communicate?
Well, we didn't get radios till 1956, so when we needed the fellows in the field, we would put this sign in the window, which was a Rainbow Bakery sign. And that there was a Rainbow Bakery in Rockaway Beach, but they had gone out of business, and they used to go around, you know, the area and deliver bakery goods to different families. So we used their sign, we'd put it in the windows, and when the workers go by, they saw the sign, they knew they had to stop by the office.
To get some bread, or just, just to come
No,
in?
to get a work order of some sort.
I
If
see.
something came up
Okay.
that they needed.
See, I would have saw that sign and thought it was
It was a
soup
bakery,
time. Yeah,
huh?
I would have thought it was. Now, let me ask you, did you ever run out of water?
No.
Always had fresh
No, I
running
don't
water?
know.
Wow. And so at that time, back in the
That was 50,
in the
1950.
1950, where did the water come from?
Well, well, we bought our water from the city of San Francisco, Hetch Hetchy water.
So it was all came out of the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir. Now, Armin, now you've been around Pacifica for a long time. Tell us about your early days. 1952, Family Nursery, Old County Road.
I was 11 years old when I came down to Pacifica. We bought
And you were living where before
in
that?
Colma.
In Colma, okay.
Yeah. And we raised all types of flowers at the nursery. And when I went to high school, we took the bus. I think they started at El Granada and came down the coast and picked up all the kids. And I went 3 years to Jefferson, and I was the first graduating class from Westmore. And basically, I remember the coast as a really enjoyable place to live. It only had a 2-lane highway going down. We didn't get a highway here until 1965, which is what we have now.
Right.
It was a nice place to live.
Now, Mason, you have been a member of the board of directors for what, 15, running on 15 years
Since
now?
1990.
Since 1990. And
On and then off. And
on
then
and off. On and off, okay. Now, tell me about your background and how did you come to live in Pacifica?
Well, I'm not fortunate like these folks. I wasn't born in California. I wasn't born in the Bay Area.
Where were you born?
I was born in Boston, and that wasn't so bad, but by golly, I grew up in Buffalo. And
Oh,
that's, we
gets a little
don't
nippy.
want to go pursue that any further.
okay.
Anyway, I went to school there. I went to the University of Buffalo. I also had a couple of years at Purdue University. Graduated from the University of Buffalo with my engineering degree. Moved to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and worked for the Air Force for a couple of years right across the river from 3 Mile Island.
Oh,
but,
boy.
But
And-
I got
and
out
you're
of
not- you're
there
not
before
glowing.
3 Mile
Okay,
Island
clearly
was,
you did, yeah.
right. No, I was
You're not radioactive, okay.
No, it was just some dirt with some trees. I guess it had a name, but we didn't know what it was. Then I went to graduate school at the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, and earned my MBA. And right after that, I just put my thumb out and ended up in San Francisco for about 2 months, living with in-laws, with relatives of my wife, and then down to Lindemar in Pacifica, and I've been happily here ever since.
Now, how did you end up on the water board? Because was that something that's always been an interest for you? Now, you say you had a
No.
degree in engineering. Was it
No, not-
structural engineering, or what kind
No,
of?
it's industrial engineering.
Okay.
Efficiency and productivity type
Okay.
things. I was in Rotary here, and a fellow Rotarian, Ed Hogue, was a board member. And I guess I remember visiting Ed at his home one day, and I guess we started talking about the water district, and it piqued my interest. So I started to go to board meetings, and I went to the board meetings for about a year. And then one of the directors retired, Vic Monin, and I thought, gee, I'd be a pretty good candidate to maybe fill his spot, but unfortunately, Lee Forrester, or unfortunately for me, Lee Forrester was selected. Lee had been a long-time employee of the district and had retired therefrom. So I waited another year and decided I would throw my hat in the ring and do it the hard way.
Excellent. Now, speaking of boards of directors, Alice, tell us, how did the original board of directors get formed? Now, I have a picture here, and maybe while we chat, we can show some of these folks, and I'll hold that up to camera 3 here. But tell us, who were the members? How did they get chosen, and where
Well,
did they meet?
That was in 1944, I take it, because I don't know those. I went to work in 1950.
You came in
and that
1950. Now, I see some names on the back of here, so let's see if I get this straight. Is it A.I.D. Burnett? Is that name ringing a bell for you? And then I have Harry Bettman, or is it Bateman? Bateman, maybe.
No.
And then A.G. Marlett and F. Loney. Is those names ringing a bell for you?
Well, Loney, that's familiar. I think that was a lady. She lived in Valleymar. But I don't know the other board members.
Well, we do have this picture, so let's see. Did you want to get one more? You got that? You guys got it? Okay, there we go. So get it one more time. And again, this is, what did you say? This is about circa what? Did you say 1940?
I
What do you
think that
this
would be
picture was
around
taken?
1944.
About 44?
That's when they formed it, and they must have had an election and elected these men to the board.
Now, as far as it goes with your earliest involvement, what were some of the challenges? And maybe Armin, if you want to jump in on this, what were some of the challenges that we had here on the coast side in terms of trying to get water in and delivered to the people?
Well, he would know more about that than I
Well,
would.
we had the line coming up along Crystal Springs up to the 2 tanks up at Skyline and Sharp Park Road. And from there, it was distributed through all our redwood tanks. We had a lot of redwood tanks in those days. Down through the system. We had a lot of regulators in our system because of all the hills. We had to make the pressure lower as you go down, otherwise it'd be 300 pounds down the bottom, you know.
Yeah.
So what happens is if a regulator goes beyond the pressure that the line can take, we were out at night fixing leaks because it puts too much water pressure, and the lines were old. They were all steel, and we had very, sometimes you might go out 3 or 4 times a week and fix leaks.
Now, I had a note here that said cast iron pipes.
No, that was
No?
steel pipe in those
All
days.
steel pipe, okay.
All your
I would
Valleymar,
hope it wasn't cast
Rockaway,
iron pipes.
Pedro Point, all of those were steel.
I ask why that water looks a little brownish from time to time.
No.
Has nothing to do with cast
We
iron.
still
okay.
have cast iron pipe in our system, but most of it is being changed over to ductile iron pipe.
Yeah, well, my
because-
house is 50 years old up here, the one that I live in. I think I got some cast iron
Oh,
pipes in my
no, you probably have regular
steel.
steel pipe in your house, yeah.
So, now originally the water came out of Hetch Hetchy, right? And Hetch Hetchy, of course, the reservoir gets its water from.
It comes down and flows into Crystal Springs. Then there's a Harry Tracy filtration plant over there, and San Francisco filtrates the water, and we our pumps pump it across this tunnel. We have a tunnel.
Now I have do you think this picture would be a good
Well,
illustration?
I could show you, but
Okay, let me go ahead and hold this up.
when they were making 280, they had to make a tunnel from approximately right here across 280 and goes right, then the line, our 24-inch main goes up along Skyline up to those tanks I was telling you at Sharp Park Road.
Right.
Now, this tunnel was basically dug, most of it by hand, because there was it was really rock they couldn't bore through. They was all hand chipped away.
Holy moly.
So this tunnel
must have-
took over about a year to do.
I bet.
Before they even...
How many workers? Do you have any idea?
They had a crew 24 hours a day
I'll bet.
doing this. Anyway.
Now you were telling me about these tanks. Now, where were those in relation, or am I getting it?
You're talking about all the wooden tanks? They were scattered all over Pacifica. But
Okay.
What I was trying to tell you, Lower Lindemar at one time was built by Andy Odstedt.
Okay.
That water was being supplied by San Bruno because the water district was not formed yet back in those days to supply enough water for the new development. So San Bruno would come up and they put a tank up here on Sweeney Ridge, and then it was pumped, not pumped, gravity flow all the way down where you know now is Fassler. You know where Fassler is.
Right, absolutely.
And then down Crespi Drive,
Right.
and it goes right into Lower Lindemar. Now all that was steel line, and it was very poor line. It was pre-World War. It was bad metal. Anyway, by the time I started working for the water department, we would have basically about 10, 12 leaks a day to go up and fix on that 12-inch main.
Wow.
There was a meter telling us how much water was coming into the Lower Lindemar and how much was being used, and most of it was going down to Picardo Ranch because of all the leaks. They had no water problems at all. There was enough water to supply their farm, you know. Anyway, by the time we could not dispose of that main until we built the T4 line with Ken Royce was a $5 million, and there was a 75,000 Fassler tank. Once we got those into place, we were able to get rid of that main because we were wasting more water than we were using.
Sure. Yeah.
So, in I'd say middle '70s, we got rid of that line.
Now, you told me when we were talking a little bit ago, I'm going to hold up another picture here, but you told me when we were talking a little bit ago that you used to have to go up and service, was it the tanks or the lines that was up by the old military installation?
That was the tank I was talking about, San Bruno tank.
Right.
We'd go up 3 times a day to check the levels because we did not have a telephone communication or anything up there. And you get up there in the middle of the night around 11 in the fog, and here would be these guards with dogs coming to check out who you were.
And those guards were guarding what?
Oh, they were guarding the base.
The missile silos, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of spooky to be with flashlights in your eye and all these dogs.
And I don't know when they decommissioned that bay. I know that was the subject of a previous, but obviously they still had it going strong when you guys
In
were doing your
the
thing.
60s, because
Sure.
I remember up until we got rid of that line, it was, I'd say, late 60s.
Now I'm going to hold this picture up one more time. Now this is Russ Conroy, and how long was he? Now what was his job? Anybody wants to chime in on this? And how long did he work with the district?
He was, as far as I was, 35 years, and he was there longer than I ever was. I'd say 40 years he was in the.
Oh, easy. I think so.
At least 40, yeah.
I think that although Russ wasn't on the original board of directors, I believe he got on the board of directors due to some recall.
Oh,
There was some trauma,
Yeah.
and of course we have a picture of the original board here, and he's not on there.
Wow.
So he must have arrived at that point.
Okay. Now let me just check and see how we're doing on time here, guys. Do we need to go to a roll-in? Okay, so we're going to run off to another little video here, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. But why don't you go ahead and take a look at this video, folks at home, and we'll be right back right after this.
One of the important projects that we're working on is the recycled water project that starts construction in April of 2009. This project will construct about 3.2 miles of a distribution system starting at the Calera Creek treatment plant and running north to Paloma and Oceana. This is a very exciting project for us. It will include the 3.2 miles that I mentioned. It'll include a 400,000 gallon tank, a recycled water tank, and a pump station. And each of those items put together are the beginning of a recycled system which we plan to run throughout the district. This first section will be completed in March of 2010, and it will save projected 50 million gallons of water per year. Now, in the scope of things, that's not a lot of water in that the district now uses about 3 million gallons per day on average to serve the 40,000 residents and businesses that we serve on a regular basis. But it is a good start. We are looking for other sources of water, more reliable sources of water. We have, we're very different from some of the other agencies that take the Hetch Hetchy water in that we're on the west side of the San Andreas Fault. And all of the water that we receive is from the east side of the San Andreas Fault. The transmission main that serves the district runs from Millbrae up to Skyline Boulevard and Sharp Park. And the first 6,000 feet of it runs directly over the San Andreas Fault. One of the issues that we're working on now is how we can overcome the 6 foot of separation that we expect will occur when the San Andreas Fault does its thing. So we're working on issues such as that, to make sure that we have a reliable water in the future. And next year, we're going to be doing starting construction on the approximately 5 miles of pipeline that will be serving the Devil's Slide tunnel. That water is required so that the tunnel can open. That's for fire suppression and services within the tunnel. But we're excited about that project because it's a joint project with Caltrans. We just recently finished a joint project with the Jefferson Union High School District to relocate our pipeline that we had that was located in an easement under the brand new Terra Nova field off to the side so they could construct the field without the worry of our pipe bursting sometime in the future and creating problems for the beautiful new field that's located there. As I mentioned, we're about 64 years old now, and like humans, we start to fall apart, and things don't work as well as they once did.
Okay, that was current GM of the North Coast County Water District, Kevin O'Connell, talking about some ambitious plans that they have. Of course, that's going to have to be another show. I want to thank my guests to my far left here, Mason Brown, Alice Delios, and Armand Chavasco. I want to thank you guys very, very much. We've barely touched on the subject, so we're going to have to come back with more. In the meantime, as my good friend and just compadre Frank would say, the lives of great men all remind us that we can make our own lives sublime and leave behind us footprints in the sands of time. Take care, Frank. We'll see you next time.